Time for our weekly conversation with Kyle Davis, head coach of Florala High School. The Wildcats' big win last Friday over Bayshore. Coach, you got to be pleased with the performance. You and the Wildcats have got to play bigger schools, I guess. Knocked off a 3A, a 4A, now a 2A. Big performance on Friday or Thursday, I guess, of last week.
Yeah, it was good. It was a game that we needed. We kind of talked to the guys after it was over. It was a pretty clean game all the way around. We played really good in defense, really good in offense, really good in special teams. Had that tough loss against McKenzie the week before where, we kind of talked about we just kind of slow started. And, we didn't slow start this time. I think we scored on 5 of our first 6 possessions. And defense, went 3 and out on about 4 of their first 5 possessions. So, it was just a good all-around win for the guys.
6 touchdown passes for Gage Davis. Man, there's been, 100 years of Florala football. I don't know if that's ever been achieved before.
Well, each week, we've gotten better and better on the offensive line to give us time and protection. We talked about that at the beginning of the year, how, our, offensive line was a little bit, not that they weren't good, they were just inexperienced, and we've gotten better game after game after game. And, we're finally getting where we can give some protection and we got some guys open down the field. And, there's 3 parts to a touchdown pass. There's the throw, the catch, and the protection, and we had all of it. And, it was just like I said, it was a good team experience because I think it was like 6 different guys or 5 or 6 or something like that. So, and we spread the ball around. A lot of guys got a lot of touches. Offensive line played well. It was probably our best offensive performance, up until that point of the year for sure.
Okay, enlighten me. I'm assuming that Gage Davis might be relatively close, Ken.
Yeah, he's been around me for about 16 years now. So, and he's done a good job. But like I said, you can't have a good football team without good players around you. And we tell people all the time. A lot of folks tend to talk about that position, but that position is designed to get the ball to people that can make plays. And we did that Friday night. Gage has improved, the offensive line's improved, the whole offense in general has improved. We've moved some guys around to get them in positions that we think they're helping us now more than at maybe other positions. And that's just kind of part of this first year transition, learning the kids, learning what they're, because where you might think they can play for you, but then you move into another position, you see that's where they're really good for you. And so we've been tinkering, week in and week out, trying to find the right lineup to make us be as productive as possible in an offensive line. And I think we finally gotten to where, we're clicking a little bit. Practice was really good this week offensively. The guys were in tune. The timing's better. Like I said, the blocking is much better. Our guys are, and it's a confidence thing too. I think, once you have to quit thinking about what you're doing and you know what to do and you just execute it, you're much better, much more efficient.
Talk about that father-son coach football player relationship. From what I understand, it can be kind of difficult to balance. Do you find that to be true, or how is that relationship when you're not only coach but your father?
I think it has to be managed well. Obviously, I don't think I manage it great all the time. I really don't. I'm generally pretty tough on him from a standpoint. But I will say this: I'm not near as tough this year as I was last year because we're a lot better football team this year than we were last year. Where we were, there's guys around him that can make plays for him. So you just try to at the end of the day, just not with him, but with all my kids, man, that play for me. Just let them know that who they are as a football player doesn't define their relationship with me, right? I love them because they're mine, and I'm going to go to bat for them because they're mine. Whether they score 6 touchdowns or throw 6 interceptions or miss 6 blocks or block 6 punts, whatever it is, but when it's your own kid, it's a little bit tougher, I think, but it's really not as much as I think between your and their relationship as it is between all the outside, that comes from it as far as, and I think that's just for the coach's family in general, right? When you go into this job, what you sign up for, right? You sign up for the opinions, you sign up for the ideas, you sign up for the ridicule. Your wife and kids don't necessarily sign up for it. And if one of your kids is out there on the field with you, it's a little bit more stressful with that. So, but at the end of the day, I've just, and like I said, I don't do a great job of it all the time, but I've tried to just enjoy the fact that, These are times that we get to spend together. Some dads spend time hunting, some dads spend time fishing. We spend time on the football field and going to camps and things like that.
Do you find that he's kind of a coach on the field, if you will, in that he's around you so much, he knows the way you think? So is he kind of an additional coach?
Um, I definitely think that it helps in the aspect that he's ran the same offense since he was a seventh grader at whatever various schools we've been at. And I do think it helps in the sense of, especially me getting in so late, if there's some guys out there that aren't quite sure the routes they're supposed to run or things like that, he's able to relay that to them. So that does help. But, just like any 16-year-old, I mean, he's still young in it. I mean, even with whatever understanding that he has, that's not, you got young apprentices and you got older craftsmen, right? So I mean, even as a young guy, you have an understanding maybe of what you want to do, but growing older and getting the reps, and you start fine tuning it a little bit. So I mean, he's still got room to grow for sure. But yeah, it does help a lot, I think. That if guys maybe aren't real sure about what route they have or what the blocking scheme is or something like that, he's able to kind of relay that to them.
Focus on the two, the positive, the negative coming out of the ball game against Bayshore, what you really liked and what you said, guys, we got to get better at.
Yeah, like I said, what I really liked was it was a clean game all the way around. We played a lot of kids. I think I don't. I think everybody played. I think I'm not sure. So it was a good experience for a lot of kids. It was a clean game, and probably execution wise, like I said up to this point, probably the best executed game we played. You know, they were not a talent of McKenzie or Georgiana by any means, but we went in there with an opponent that we felt like we were better than, and we did what we were supposed to do. We didn't, like I said, we didn't turn it over. We didn't have a bunch of dumb mistakes. It was pretty clean. I think the negative is still kind of what Coach Green and myself have been kind of preaching, where we still had a few loafs. We still had some guys that weren't. We want to get 11 guys at the football, right? Whenever it's going, we want 11 guys pursuing, 11 guys doing. Or maybe we got a little tired and we didn't, hustle through the block like we needed to and things like that. So there's still those things that are going on, which I think probably all programs fight that, especially, when you're looking at the scoreboard and you're up by 4 scores and you're like, but those are the situations that build you when we got the Brantleys and the Elbas, down the road here that we're really going to have to qualify for the playoffs. So I think, and it's not maybe not so much a negative as it is just, it's still a sticking point that we're trying to get across to the guys of, every single play, up 60, down 60, whatever it is, we want to play whistle to whistle as hard as we can.
Coming out of the ball game, what's the health of the Wildcats like? Everybody good to go?
We're still blessed, man. Lord's still been blessing us. We haven't had any major injuries, and we got some guys that are nicked and banged and bruised, but, that comes with the football season for sure. But we don't have anything that's debilitating or sidelining guys or anything like that. So, we hope to continue that trend here through Friday. And like I said, it's been a blessing in that standpoint because, as well as I do in 2A, 3A, 1A football, these smaller levels, if you lose one, you lose two a lot of times. It's because they got to go both ways. And, heck, sometimes it's three because they might be a kicker or a snapper to go along with all that too. So, but we've been blessed. We've been blessed with health. And, again, I think that's a little bit of testament to our workout program. I think we condition our kids well in the weight room. I think our kids are prepared when they go in. Now, obviously, there's some injuries that doesn't matter how well you prepare; they just happen. But we've been, I think, pretty blessed in the fact that our kids have been prepared to play the grind of a 10-game regular season football.
Taking on Kinston this Friday night, a team that you knocked off like 53-3 a year ago. They're 1-2, the only win in conference play against Red Level. I mean, let's face it, and I'm not trying to disparage Kinston, but they're not a Brantley, not a McKenzie, not a Georgiana or Elba. So is there a tendency to look beyond Kinston to those top-tier teams in the conference?
I mean, I think there's a tendency to do that with anybody just because I think that you feel like you're looking down the road of who you got to beat. So, and that's when you really got to ground yourself and say, we can't do that. We got to focus. I mean, Kinston's they score a lot of points. They average like 38 points a game. They've been beaten in some real high scoring games, 60 something to 70 something, things like that. And so they've got a really good offense. I do think, talent wise, skill wise, we are superior to, what they have, but I know they're very well coached and their kids play hard and it's their place. I mean, they, like I said, they played, they kept Elba close in the first half. They played some. They were sitting there, close in some other games that maybe some people thought they shouldn't have been close, and then they were down a couple scores last week to Samson and battled back and won the game. So they got some grit about them. They got some toughness about them. So it's us as coaches have got to get our guys to understand. Look, the Brantleys and the Elbas don't matter if we don't handle the Kinstons and the Red Levels. We've got to have all these wins coming down the stretch to get to where we want to be, which is playing in the postseason. So I think it's just natural to want to feel that way, but it's also unnatural to fight against that and say, no, we got to buckle down right here and get ready for this game this week.
Only common opponent, despite the fact that you're halfway through the season, Georgiana. Georgiana knocked off Kinston 48-zip. Beat Florala with a lot of scores late, or I say a lot, enough to stretch out the game to where it was a little deceptive. The final score, 40-14. Can we, as outside observers, call anything from comparing scores between Florala and Georgiana and Kinston and Georgiana?
No, I don't think so. I think kind of like you said. We were 12-8 with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter against Georgiana. I feel like that Georgiana. We had that film against Kinston. The great thing about Georgiana is they play about every team that we play before we play them. So they're like the week before. Offensively, they run very similar sets to what we do. So we're kind of able to gauge, what the alignment of the defenses and things like that are going to be. So there's some things Georgiana did that we do, and we feel like we can gain success off of that. But I don't think you can compare the scores. I think it's going to be a completely different game. I do believe, and I don't tell my kids, one way or the other. I don't believe that you count a win before it's there, but I do think that, you should understand that if you're a better team, that you should play like a better team. And I do believe that, we're a better football team, and we need to go in there this week, much like we did last week, and just say, look, we're going to take control of this game early. We're going to handle things on offense. We're going to get the ball back on defense, and we're going to score quick and score often and see if we can't make it an opportunity where a lot of guys get to get in there and get some action.
A win against Kinston guarantees a non-losing season, but I just got a feeling where you're concerned and where the Wildcats are concerned, that's not the ultimate goal.
Yeah, no, it's not. But it is a region game, right? So you have to win it. It's one of those games where, again, if you don't take care of that game, the ones that are supposed to be big games behind it don't matter. So you have to handle that one. No, a non-winning season is not what we're shooting for. A non-losing season is not what we're shooting for. Obviously, that's maybe like the first brick in the steps that you want to climb. So we do want to handle that. We do have goals and we do have expectations, and we've had a couple of tough losses, but they haven't eliminated us from any goal or anything that we want to do. I talked to our kids the other day. I said, the state champion for the 2024 football season in 1A has not been written yet. We're still the authors of whatever story this thing's going to be. We get to write our own story. We get to decide what's going to happen, and we've got the talent and the ability to write it however we want to write it. And but it does have to start tomorrow night with Kinston. It has to be a situation where we say, this is chapter 1. We go ahead and write this thing right here and see where it takes us from there.
Coach, always good to talk to you. Good luck against the Bulldogs.
Robert, appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on.